My name's Randy Caine, and I'm the Humble Grower. I've been involved with cannabis and harm reduction for about over 50 years now, and in that 50 years, I've literally grown thousands of cannabis plants.
And I'm Greg Nosati, the director of the documentary Demystifying Cannabis. So naturally, when I decided to do my first grow, I turned to Randy for some advice. And what we're doing here is basically the story of my growing pains and the prescription that the Humble Grower gave me on how to relieve those pains. When it became legal to grow cannabis in Canada, I got really excited to give it a try. But I knew that I had to have a nice sunny spot. And there was no place in my yard that couldn't be seen from the street that had enough sunshine to grow the plants. So I realized that my only real option was to grow indoors, but I didn't have a damn clue how to begin. So Randy, can you share a little bit of your growing experience with me?
Geez, I'd be happy to, Greg. I really would. Yeah, no, my experience started a long time ago. I think my first plant I grew in a closet under fluorescent bulbs. I was like 19 years old. Through those years, yeah, I mean, I did get involved. I grew, indoors a certain amount. Actually, I'd even warehouses where I had, 1,440 plants in bud at any one time, and probably a few thousand that were waiting in the wings to go through their cycle.
Crap.
Oh, God, yeah. Oh, yeah, 86 light. And but it was very heady times. None of it was intended for any of us to see ourselves as criminals. It was pot smokers growing for pot smokers. Now, of course, what's really wonderful is that people now are going to be able to jump into this in a way that's safe and legal.
Well, when I interviewed you for the documentary, I remember showing up at your store, Hempyz, and you had, 3 or 4 of these tents sitting there, and I went, what the heck are those? Where did you find out about these clever little devices?
Well, I had heard about them, but they were sort of in their struggling days when I first looked at them. The lights weren't very good. Like I say, we were akin to having a fluorescent bulb in a closet. So I saw these and I thought, that's forward thinking. So it's not like the old days. Yeah. It really isn't. So how can we harness this? And so that's what enthused me about it.
Well, you really changed my opinion about the whole growing indoors thing. I had a look at these and I went, wow, you can buy them as a complete kit, light, ventilation, the whole 9 yards. But one of the biggest stumbling blocks, the only stumbling block to me growing indoors was my wife was a little bit concerned about the smell.
The smell, yes. No, that's always been a concern, and I think a lot of that's been hyped up over the years in terms of the propaganda of the past, And of course, there were some very stinky varieties that came out. There was a skunk weed, and it would stink up all neighborhoods. I mean, there was no doubt it did occur. But under these circumstances, when you're growing in a tent like this, you're not forcing the plant as hard as people were maybe accustomed to, and they had the grow ops and they had the 1,000-watt bulbs, and you're really driving these plants. And if there is going to be any sort of aroma, I don't look at it as a smell, but an aroma, it's going to happen in the latter stages once the plant has actually gone into bud. And you've got a bit of aroma, but these tents have got filters, very easy to accommodate, light some incense in the basement, and everything should be fine.
A little bit of patchouli.
Exactly, you bet. It always has.
Well, you convinced me, so I bought one, took it home. I was so excited to set it up in the basement, stuck it into a closet space, hung the ventilating system, hung the lights, super excited. The only thing missing was seeds. Well, I didn't realize how difficult that was going to be to do legally. I went online to the BC Cannabis store and online with a bunch of legal dispensaries. And back in those days, which isn't that many days ago, about a year ago, there was nothing available.
No.
So I turned to regular seed banks. And of course, British Columbia has a bunch of those. There are seed banks all over the world. And they had hundreds and thousands of strains. And by the way, we've put together a guide to buying legal seeds in Canada, and you'll find the link below. So I chose a BC grower. The seeds showed up in the mail. I germinated 2 of them just to start out slow. They both sprouted, stuck them in some soil that I had in the garage, and about 3 weeks later, they looked like they were dying.